Hi there, and welcome back to Out There, a Cryptid podcast. I'm your host, Josh. On the 13th of each month, I come out with a new episode focused on a cryptid that I find super fascinating and weird. And if you still don't know what a cryptid is, it is defined as an animal that has been claimed to exist but never proven to exist. Cryptids don't have to be supernatural or mythical beings, although many of them are. Some cryptids have actually become documented animals. Make sure you go and follow the podcast on Instagram, at OutThereCryptids, and check out the posts I make for each episode and maybe send some suggestions you'd like to hear. Happy holidays, everyone! I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying whatever you have going on around this time of year. Here at Out There, we want you all to know how grateful we are for all of you, and we are celebrating this holiday season with each of you in spirit. We've got a creepy story to listen to today, so settle down in front of a fire and prepare to meet the Yule cat. Let's dive in. The Yule cat is a creepy figure from Icelandic folklore that really amps up the spook factor during Christmas. Known as Jólakötturinn, this giant menacing feline is said to stalk the snowy countryside around the holidays, looking for its next victim. The catch? If you don't get new clothes before Christmas Eve, you might just be on the Yule cat's dinner menu. The Yule cat is described as being massive, with glowing eyes and sharp claws, lurking in the shadows and giving off a very "you're being watched" vibe. It's connected to other Icelandic Christmas legends, like Garilla, the child-eating ogress, and her mischievous sons, the Yule lads. Together, they make Icelandic Christmas a lot darker and more intense than the holiday traditions most of us are used to. The story goes way back and ties into Icelandic traditions around wool production. Back then, getting new clothes for Christmas meant you had worked hard during the year, or that your family had been productive. If not, you were seen as lazy or unlucky, and the Yule cat didn't take kindly to that. Now, let's look at a traditional tale told of this cryptid. As the snow fell heavily over the Icelandic village, a chilling tale began to unfold. A story of one family's frightful encounter with the Yule cat, lurking just beyond the warmth of their humble home. It was the dead of winter in a small Icelandic village nestled between the mountains and a vast snow-covered plain. The air was biting, and frost clung to the windows of every home, painting icy patterns on the glass. The villagers were busy with the annual flurry of preparation for Christmas. This time of year brought warmth and celebration, but also caution, for the Yule cat was said to roam when the nights were longest. Thora, a young girl, had grown up hearing stories of this monstrous feline from her grandmother. The Yule cat was no ordinary creature. It was said to be larger than a horse, its fur as black as midnight, and its glowing yellow eyes capable of piercing the thickest blizzards. It prowled the countryside in search of anyone who hadn't received new clothes for Christmas. Those who were found wanting were devoured without mercy. Thora didn't believe the stories, of course. They were just old tales meant to scare children into behaving. But this year was different. Her father, a fisherman, had been injured during the autumn storms and had been unable to work. With little money coming in, the family could barely afford food, let alone new clothes for Christmas. Thora had overheard her mother whispering to a neighbor about their plight, her voice heavy with worry. The week before Christmas, the village tailor delivered bundles of new garments to the villagers, as was the tradition. Every family would receive something, a scarf, a pair of socks, even a sample patch for an old coat, to ensure they were spared from the Yule cat's wrath. But then, the tailor arrived at Thora's house. He apologized, solemnly. "I'm afraid I've run out of cloth," he said. "I'll bring something after the new year." Her mother tried to smile and thank him, but Thora saw the fear in her eyes. That night, as the family huddled around their small fire, Her grandmother began to tell the story of the Yule cat once more. "It's not just laziness the Yule cat punishes," she said, her voice low and gravelly. "It's neglect. If you fail to care for your family, if you fail to work hard, the Yule cat will know." Thora couldn't sleep that night. The wind howled outside, rattling the shutters, and she imagined she could hear the soft thud of enormous paws in the snow. She tried to shake off the feeling, but when she peeked out the window, she thought she saw 2 glowing eyes in the distance. Her heart raced, but when she blinked, the eyes were gone. The next day, Thora decided she couldn't sit idly by. If her family couldn't afford new clothes, she would make something herself. She scavenged scraps of fabric from her mother's sewing box and began stitching them together into a crude scarf. Her fingers ached from the cold, but she worked tirelessly, determined to finish before Christmas Eve. On the night of Christmas Eve, the village was eerily quiet. Snow blanketed the ground, muffling every sound. Thora draped the patchwork scarf around her neck and went outside to fetch firewood. As she stepped into the yard, she froze. There, at the edge of the field, was the Yule cat. It was even larger than she had imagined. Its massive form silhouetted against the snow, its fur seemed to absorb the darkness, and its eyes glowed like ambers. The creature stared at her, unblinking, and she felt as if it could see straight into her soul. It took a step forward, the snow crunching beneath its enormous paws. Thora clutched the scarf tightly, her heart pounding. "I'm not lazy," she shouted, her voice trembling. "I made this myself." She held up the scarf, hoping the creature would understand. The Yule cat paused, tilting its massive head as if considering her words. Then, to her astonishment, it let out a low, rumbling purr. The sound vibrated through the air, and the creature turned and vanished into the darkness, leaving only a trail of paw prints in the snow. Thora ran back inside, her hands shaking. She didn't tell her family what had happened, but her grandmother noticed the look on her face and smiled knowingly. "The Yule cat respects hard work," she said softly. "You've done well, child." From that day on, Thora never doubted the old stories. Every Christmas, she made sure to sew something new, not just for herself, but for anyone in the village who needed it. The Yule cat never returned to their home, but Thora always felt its presence, watching silently from the shadows. These days, the Yule cat is more of a fun, spooky tradition. It's a great story that encourages people to work hard, but also serves as a unique piece of Icelandic culture that sets their Christmas apart from the rest of the world. Plus, it's a cool bit of folklore to share around the holidays. So, what do you think? Is the Yule cat really out there? This episode was hosted by me, Josh, with logo designed by Jason Sykes and theme music from purpleplanet.com.